Good evening. I'm joining you live because I have not been a good steward of my time to do something that is pre-recorded. So my team is having to pull my live videos off because on here they are only up for a month and then they're gone. So we are putting things over on YT, and we're in the process of putting the last few years over there. So while we are doing that, we are attempting to pull everything off of here and catalog it over on the other site. We're hoping to have that done within the next couple months. We've got several years that we're building out over there. And because Meta has a new policy for Facebook Live videos only being up for 30 days, it has really crammed us and forced me into pre-recording a lot of things. And the holidays just got away from me. So it's a catch-22 because I love being out here live. I love being able to connect with you in real time. But also I know that when I do this, these videos don't stay out here very long. And part of this ministry is to have a place where people can come and learn about God and be able to connect with the Holy Spirit. And so having the opportunity to have this platform is amazing. But now that we don't have a place where we can catalog them for any longer than 30 days on these live videos, puts us in a bind. So anyway, I pre-record as much as I can, but I was out of town for the holidays, had a great time. I hope that you all did too for Thanksgiving. And normally I pause this time of year. I've been out here now for the last 8 years. And normally what I do is I come to you with something for Christmas. However, I have elected not to do that. I want to finish up the book of Acts. After tonight, we have chapters 25 through 28, and then we are skipping over to another book that I'm so excited about, and I've already started building out the content for the study for this book. It's biblical text. I know that you're going to love it. I'm excited. When I first came up with the concept to do this, and it was just one of those things that was right off I said, you know what? People aren't talking about this in church, and we need to be talking about it more. And there's a whole book about this in the Bible, and I want to do a study on this book. So I'm really looking forward to giving you that content the early part of next year. So we're not going to pause here in December and take a look at Christmas. There are plenty of other things, plenty of other places anyway, that are talking about Christmas and Jesus and all of that good stuff. We're going to stay hanging out with Paul here for the next few weeks, and hopefully be able to, beginning of February, start this new series that I have coming up. Stay tuned. Hi, Pamela and Kyle. Great to see you both. I'm glad you're in the house. David, congratulations to you on being a grandfather for the first time. That's exciting. So exciting. Getting ready to do Filter of Hope mission trip. Great. Glad you're going to Panama. And look at you leaving this Saturday. God bless you in your journey, in your trip. And I know that anytime that I've gone on mission trips outside of the country of the United States, I've received way more than I've ever given. And I just love being able to be transformed through prayer, meditation, self-reflection, and meeting another culture of people to see that God is moving in places where religion is removed. And so I hope that you have a wonderful trip, that you would spread love where you are. For all of us who are not going to Panama City, Panama on Saturday the 6th with David, listen, our mission trip is our mission field, and that's right in front of us. So whether it's the person at the grocery store, I said, hey, did you stop going? Are you no longer working at the gym? You're working here? And she's like, Patty! And she comes up, she gives me a hug, we kiss on the cheek, and I say, good to see you. And she's like, great to see you. When you plant seeds of love, it doesn't matter where you meet again. People remember you by the love that you give them. So continue to lead with love in the mission field where you are. I want to do a quick recap of where we were a couple weeks ago. Last week, we took a pause for the holiday. We're reading the ancient texts. This is a collective group of scrolls, papyrus, writings that have been found over the centuries and have been put together in what we know as the Bible. We're reading and studying the book of Acts, and we're over in Acts 24. So that gives you a little rundown of where we are. Your first time joining, welcome to Bible study. Normally it's pre-recorded. Tonight I just had to come on live because I was out of town, didn't have a chance to pre-record. We're gathering around these ancient texts because I believe they continue to speak life and wisdom when they're studied with having open hearts and open mind to be able to receive. And once we open ourselves up spiritually to the Great Spirit, then we're able to truly begin to receive what God has for us. And so timeless truth in an ever-changing world that we can live by today. So an overview of where we've been. Apostle Paul is standing before Felix and a group of Jewish leaders who have brought formal accusations against Paul. And they're claiming he's stirring up riots in Jerusalem. He's leading this dangerous Nazarene religious sect, and he's attempting to defile the temple. I mean, this boy's got a lot going on. And these charges are all rooted in falsity. There's no truth in them. And after a mob in Jerusalem attacked Paul, the Roman officials intervened and they transferred him over to Caesarea for safety and placing him and his case under the governor Felix. And this is the governor's jurisdiction. So in short, Paul is before Felix because of religious opposition, and it's escalated into political charges now, and that is forcing Roman government, who has jurisdiction over Jerusalem, to step in and kind of evaluate the truth of these accusations. So the recap from our last time together and studying was Acts 24, verses 10 through 21. And we talked about how we can keep a clear conscience before God. We can face false accusations, pressure, and misunderstanding with confidence and peace when we walk in integrity. And that integrity, not defensiveness, becomes our strongest defense. This week, we're going to be wrapping up Acts 24 with 4 verses 24 through 27. I'm reading from the New International Version this evening. Armor bearer is in the house. Let's get cracking, brother. Let's get cracking. Tammy, great to see you. Jose de la Cruz, wonderful to see you all this evening. Thanks for joining in. I just love being able to see y'all. Bill's in the house tonight. I hope your beautiful wife is doing well, especially after that horrific accident that she was in a little bit earlier this year. So just want to let you know that she continues to be prayed for, you, your family, and also your extended family was involved as well. Great to see you tonight, sir. Acts 24. Several days later, Governor Felix came with his wife Drusilla, who was Jewish. And he sent for Paul, and he listened to him. And as Paul spoke about his faith in Jesus with them. As Paul talked about righteousness, self-control, and the judgment to come, Felix became afraid and said, "That's enough for now. You may leave. When I find it convenient, I will send for you." At the time, he was hoping that Paul would offer him a bribe. So he sent for him frequently and talked with him. When 2 years had passed, Felix was succeeded by Porcius Festus. But because Felix wanted to grant favor to the Jews, he left Paul in prison. This is Acts 24, verses 24 to 27. These few verses show that there's a few days after a hearing, and Felix and his wife Drusilla send for Paul, and they listen to him as he explains about his faith. But when Paul speaks about righteousness, being in right standing before our great Creator, and self-control, and the coming judgment of people, Felix becomes afraid, probably because of his own shortcomings and convictions. As we can see here, he's not in right standing. He's expecting some money from Paul in order to get out of jail, but Paul doesn't bite on that. He continues to use it as a platform in order to talk about his faith. But Felix continues to meet with him, right? Though the real motive is hoping that Paul's going to offer him a bribe and his release. So after 2 years of being in jail, Felix now loses out to a new governor of this jurisdiction. His name is Festus. And because here we are, Felix wanting to end on a high note with favor with the Jews, he decides to leave Paul in prison instead of releasing him. There's some life lessons here for us that I want to point out in these 4 verses. Sometimes you can be like Paul and do everything right and still suffer unfairly. Paul was innocent, and yet he remained imprisoned for years, reminding us that righteousness does not guarantee an easy path, and truth still may lead to injustice for us. Stand on your integrity anyway. People in authority, my second point for tonight, aren't always just. Felix here is a prime example. He had power. He had power to do good and power to do evil. And he had the power to release Paul, but he chose not to. He chose instead politics and religious favor, personal gain over integrity, and showing us in these few verses that the human systems that we have in place are flawed. They're flawed. People make choices, and those choices have a ripple effect. That is why bad things happen to good people. And we see this here with Paul. We are responsible, each one of us, we are responsible for obedience and doing the right thing. We are not responsible for the outcomes. Paul stayed faithful to himself, to being in right standing before the Spirit of God, and he chose character over cowtailing to the governor. And in so doing, his character mattered more than his circumstances did. Are you willing to stand in integrity and truth, regardless of your circumstances? Are you willing to stand for what you believe in? Or are you going to fall for anything? Are your values moving targets based upon who's in front of you? Are you people-pleasing in order to gain favor? Paul could have easily done that here. Felix allowed people to come and meet with Paul. He allowed them to come, probably because he was hoping that they would give him money so he could use it for the bribe and ultimately get released. But it never happened. So, are you willing to compromise your character in order to change your circumstances? And favor with people is never worth compromising. It really isn't. You could see that Felix was willing to do that, which is why he kept Paul in prison. He said, I'm going to go ahead and keep him here because then I can find favor with the Jews for whatever political position he's moving into next, right? Or maybe now he's lost this political power and he doesn't want that to come back on him, so he's going to go ahead and leave Paul in prison. That'll keep the peace between him and the Jewish council, the Sanhedrin. But Paul wasn't willing to do that. He always went and he spoke truth. And at the end of the day, it cost him being in prison. Also, 2 years, over 2 years, Paul's been sitting in prison unjustly. There are seasons in our lives where we're waiting. They're probably the most frustrating of seasons. I always say, tell me no or tell me yes, but don't tell me to wait. Because I can work with a no. I can work with a yes. But this whole waiting game, I don't do well there. I just don't. But waiting seasons reveal who we really are and what we really believe. They really do. And Paul's calm endurance in the midst of all that really does show that his character was rooted in his belief system, and that was rooted in the sovereignty of God. And I love that. For self-reflection for us as we end this study tonight is this. Paul's long imprisonment for 2+ years under this corrupt governor reminds us that justice in this world is not always immediate. It's just not. God's purposes and plans are always unfolding. Even in a place Paul didn't deserve to be, he remained faithful, he remained steady, and he remained anchored in truth and integrity in his values and his beliefs. In our waiting, we may not be in prison. We may be in prison in our own minds, in our own homes, in our own relationships. Prison can look different to a lot of people who may be actually free in many respects, but trapped in others. This waiting season may feel unfair, may feel confusing, but it's never wasted. Never wasted. God is working in ways that we cannot yet see, and we may never see. May we learn to trust in timing. May we guard our hearts from compromising our values, and may we stay faithful even when the path feels slow. I hope that this message helped you to dive into the ancient texts a little bit more. We are going to look next week. Felix is out, but Governor Festus is in, and it's only going to take a few days, and Paul is going to be in front of Festus. So next week, Acts 25, we'll dive in and see what the text has for us there. Until we meet again, love God, love others, and love yourself. Although I am concluding the Bible study for tonight, I would love to take a minute, since I am joining live, and that is rare these days, to just be able to reach out with a friendly hello to those I didn't get to say anything to. Amara Lee, great to see you tonight. Thank you so much for joining in where you are. And to everyone else, I think I did say hello to everyone. I just want to check one more time to see. I think I am. There is a little bit of a delay here on my end. But I hope to see you all again next time. Good night.